Hello everybody and welcome to Virtual Carnival Club Session 4. Today we're going to learn how to create simple carnival belts and skirts. To start off with, you will need to create a template which we can then use to cut out and decorate a belt. Once we've created our belt, we can then look at some various ways of extending down from the belt to create a loincloth or a skirt. So let's look at the tools and materials we're going to need for this session. We're going to need a stapler, some sellotape, some PVA glue with a spreader, some scissors, ruler, pencil, a scrap bit of paper for a pattern, and possibly some Pritt stick if you've got some laying around. We're going to need some cardboard to create our belt. So here I've got some packaging, some parcel packaging that's come through the post. It's quite a thin cardboard actually, so that'll be perfect. If you haven't got any of that, you could use a cereal box, or this one is an Easter egg box, which again it's nice and flexible, so that'll be great for a belt. Once we've created our belt, we will then need to decorate it. So you could use some fabric if you've got some spare fabrics laying around the house, or it could be recycled clothes. This is an old pillowcase. You could cover your belt with some thinner card. This is lovely bright coloured card that I had laying around, so you could use that. Or you could use some wrapping paper. Now this they've got at the moment in the pound shop, so it's nice and shiny, and they've got various colours in there at the moment, so you might want to go and invest in some nice shiny wrapping paper. Okay, so to start off with, let's take a look at how to create a template. Before I show you how to make your template, I just want to talk to you about costume design. You might like to draw your own design before you start making your costume. I've got a couple here that I've created and I want to share with you. This one is just a representation of my garden. I seem to have a lot of yellow and purple flowers in my garden at the moment. So this design, on my belt, I've put the flowers, and then I've repeated it on the neck collar and in the headdress, and also on my staff. I've also added a green frill around the edges there, which I'm going to make out of the some green plastic bags that I have. So that's the first one, that represents my garden. Second one, this one is themed around fire. So I've got all the hot colours there, yellow, orange and red. And again, I've repeated the patterns in the belt, around the neck collar, in the headdress and on the flag. If you'd like to design your own costume, there is a picture of an outline of a body there that you can find on the Virtual Carnival Club's web page. So you can print that off and colour that in yourself, or you can just draw your own design, or you may not want to work to a design at all. It's entirely up to you. Okay, let's start making. So I'm going to be working towards making a fire costume. I quite like this. It's very simple, lots of big bold patterns there. So to start off with, this week I'm going to be showing you how to make this belt. Then in a couple of weeks' time I'll be showing you how to make the neck collar. Now for this belt I'm going to be using this template. So how do we make a template for our belt? So here I've got my belt around my mannequin here, and if you see I've tied it up at the back there, and I've left a gap so you can make it nice and tight around the body. This is just made out of t-shirt material. So I've got some there, so I've cut up an old t-shirt and it's nice and stretchy, so that's perfect to make your ties with. Also you could use knicker elastic, okay, just an ordinary elastic if you've got some of that laying around the house. If not, a pair of old tights will do, very stretchy, very comfortable to wear. Or this is off a top of a pair of trousers, so I'm just recycling that, so that might come in handy as well for my waistbands. Let me just take this one off so I can show it to you. So usually our waistbands, we have like a little decorative bit in the middle here, and you can just have them going straight across, but I always like to put a bit of a decoration in there. So this one again is just cardboard at the back there, and I've covered that with fabric. Here are a few more templates, different designs. So that's the centerpiece, but I can extend this along, depends how wide you need, how long you need to have that around your waist. And there's another design there, it's got a nice scoop on it. So the first thing you'll need to do is take a piece of A4 paper, like so, and just fold that out, so that's A4, and then we're going to fold that in half, like so, make that nice edge on it there. I'm going to draw my design. Now, I think the width of the waistband should be about a couple of inches or 6 centimetres down. So I'm just going to use my ruler and just measure that down. Just mark it down there. And then come along and mark it again in 2 places. And then we're just going to join those 2 dots up, like so. So can you see that? It's just on the edge there. So that's going to be the outside of my belt. Let me just open that up so you can see. There's the edge. I'm going to fold it in half. And then I'm going to draw a design coming down here. So this is going to be the centerpiece of our belt. And the reason why I folded the paper in half is so that I know that both sides are going to be symmetrical when I cut it out. So now I'm just going to draw a design coming along, down and into a point. So this could be any design you like. You might want to play around with it for a little while, cut a few out until you get the shape that you like. Should we cut that out and see what that's like? So I need a pair of scissors for this. Again, be very careful because they are sharp, so you might want an adult to help you cut this out. And just very carefully working all the way to our end. So just mind your fingers on that. Right, should we have a little look what that looks like? So cut it out like so. Let's open it out. Oh yeah, that's quite a nice shape, isn't it? So that will go in the centre of our belt, like so. Can you see that? Fantastic. Right then, now this is going to be too short, so we need to extend off here when we make our belt. But we can do that once we've placed it on the card. So the first thing we need to do is to measure around our waists. You could use a tape measure for it. You could simply use a piece of string, here I've got a piece of ribbon, which would be absolutely fine. Now we don't want to go all the way round to the back. We want to come out to sort of round the back to the side a little bit there. So I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to spin this round like so to get my measurement around there. So it's just a guide. And then I'm just going to lay that down on my table there. I'm going to give it a snip so I know that is what's going to fit around the waist of the mannequin. So you can see here, this piece of card is not going to be long enough. So what we're going to do is cut out this centre piece here, and then we're going to put some extensions on the edges. Just got one here to show you. So let me turn that round. So there's my centre bit, and then just here, I've extended some cards on the edge there, okay? So let's begin by drawing round and cutting out our belt design. So I'm just taking this to the very top of that card there, so it's got a nice flat straight edge. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. I won't have to cut that top bit now. And then I'm going to draw around my template, like so. So you might want to get somebody to give you a hand with this to hold the template down as you draw around. There we go. And then you can see there, my card here is a little bit longer than my template. Can you see there? So I'm just going to extend those out there with a ruler. Or if you haven't got a ruler, you could just use a book or something with a straight edge to it. That would work fine. Let's bring that out there. There we go. Can you see I've extended right to the edge there? Now I'm going to carefully cut this out. Now I've made my centerpiece, I need to extend the edges to fit my waist measurements that I've got there. Okay, so I'm just going to use a bit of scrap card, and I can just literally use the end of here as my measurement. So I'm just going to draw that onto that card, and then I'm going to move it down a little bit and draw it again in a couple of places, and then I can use my ruler. So you can see that I've marked it. I can use my ruler to extend that all the way down the length of the cardboard there. There we go. Then I'm going to cut that out and see if that fits on the ends, fingers crossed. You just cut down there. Again, you may need 2 people to help you do this. It's a little bit fiddly, a bit harder than cutting paper. Let's pop that to one side. So we see if this fits. Fingers crossed. Let's have a look. Oh, that's not too bad actually. I'm quite pleased with that. So let's lay this down again. Pop my ribbon. I'm going to find the centre piece of my ribbon there, for my measurement, and that centerpiece really needs to go where that point is in the center. Then I need to extend it out to the edge there. So I'm going to take my piece of card that I've cut off, overlap it about 2 centimeters, half an inch here, because I'm going to staple it in a minute, and put some sellotape on it, and then I'm just going to roughly chop that off the edge there, pop that on, so that goes out to the edge of my measurement. And then this one's a little bit too short, so let's cut another one off. Here we go, it's one I made earlier. And I'm going to pop that on there, and that comes out to the edge of the ribbon. Okay, now to fix this, I'm just going to use a stapler. So pop the stapler underneath, leave it on the table and push down really hard. You might want to get an adult to help you with this. As you can see, I was struggling with that. There you go, that's one end in. And then let's just pop the other end in, like so. And then in a minute, let's just give it a little tug to make sure that it's gone on. Look around the back, make sure those staples have gone right through. Now I'm just going to pop some sellotape over those edges, just to smooth it out a bit and to just disguise the staples, because they can be a little bit sharp on the edges sometimes. So I'm just going to cover those over. So let's do that on both edges, like so. And then you also want to put a bit of sellotape this side to cover up those edges. So next thing we need to do is add our ties in at the sides. For this I'm going to be using, I've got some old tights here, so I'm going to be using these tights. This is all the length I've got, so I'm just going to fold that in half, find the halfway mark, and then cut through there. Then I've got 2 ties, 1 for each end. Okay, so now we're going to staple these onto the belt. So pop it about, I would say that's most probably about 2 inches, 6 centimeters into your belt, so it doesn't pull through, and then I'm going to staple that down in maybe 2, maybe 3 places, and then pop the other one the other side. There we go, and then we have the ties in there. Give it a pull, make sure it's in there. You could just pop a little bit of sellotape over the top of those just to secure them a little bit more. And then let's just pop it around our mannequin so we can have a little look what that looks like. There we go. And then we're going to tie that up at the back there. There we go. So that's fitted nicely around the mannequin. So look around the back, there's the ties, and I've got a gap there so it can be pulled in, so that's absolutely fine. So next thing I'm going to show you is how to decorate your belt. Okay, so the first thing, let's make sure our ties are out of the way, like so, and I'm going to apply a generous amount of the glue onto the cardboard. Now the next thing I will do is leave this just to go tacky, just for a few moments. And while that's going tacky, I can just prepare my wrapping paper. So this is what I'm going to be covering it with. Now you can see this wants to just keep rolling up, so I'm going to have to pin this down. So I'm just going to use my sellotape to pop on one end like so, roll it out, and I'm just going to use my stapler at the other end just to keep it under control just while I get the gluing bit done. So now I've left this for a few moments, so I most probably could have left it a little bit longer, and I'm just going to lay it down onto my wrapping paper or fabric or whatever it is you want to cover it with, and just gently push that down. Again, you want to make sure this is protected underneath here. I think this glue will be fine, it won't leak through the paper, but if you're using fabric, this glue might sink through the paper and onto your work surface, so you want to make sure that you've got it covered really. Okay, now I'm going to leave that most probably for about half an hour to an hour to let it dry, and then I can cut it out. And then I'm going to show you how to make decorations coming down from your belt. So now I'm going to look at how to extend down from my belt. Best thing to do is to make some templates that we can use over and over again. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that in one moment. But also what I did was I went through my kit of all the rubbish that I've been collecting and the things that I was going to throw out over the last few weeks, and to find some colours that might fit this design. Now I didn't really have any yellows or oranges, so I'm using the lovely wrapping paper that I found in the pound shop. So I've got like a copper colour there, I've got a gold there, I've got some red. This was a piece of card, red on the edge, and a crisp bag that I've opened out, which is silver in the middle. So these are going to be the colours that I'm using, which I think will most probably suit this costume quite well. So now we're going to make these templates of these smaller ones down here. I'm just going to take a piece of A4 paper, but you could use a piece of card, depends what you've got to hand. I'm going to fold it in half so I can make my pattern nice and symmetrical. You want to make sure that this folded edge is in the centre of your template. Then I'm just going to draw my design on there. This was sort of like a kite shape. So I'm just going to take that down to a point there and bring that up like so. So you might have to draw it a couple of times until you get the shape that you require. And then I'm going to cut that up that way and cut it down that way. Again, be careful of those scissors onto one side. And let's open that out and have a little look. I'm quite happy with that shape. Now I'm going to make a few more of these templates. I'm going to make one a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to make a much bigger one for the centre. So now I've created my 3 templates. I've got one centrepiece here that I'm going to cover with the gold wrapping paper and let that dry, using exactly the same technique as we used for the belt. I'm going to be using the smaller one here. Most probably going to be using that on the crisp packet because it's nice and shiny inside. So I'm going to cut a few of those out, and I'm going to be cutting out some of the red with the even smaller one. Okay. So let's take a look at the pieces that I cut out using my templates. Here I have the centrepiece, which I covered in gold wrapping paper, and that was just glued onto the card. And I have some other pieces I cut out. This was the crisp packet that I used, it was shiny inside, so I cut a couple of those out. I cut a little bit more out of them. This was the copper coloured wrapping paper, and also I've got some red card. So what I did was I just played around with layering these on top of each other to see what effect I got. So I quite liked the red, the smaller red on top of that copper. That was quite nice. And then I'm just going to lay that on top of my gold piece here. Can you see that? And that creates a nice pattern on there. So I'm just going to staple that down. It might be a bit tricky going through all 3 pieces, so you might want someone to give you a hand with that. Let's take a little look. So that's going to be my centrepiece with the wrapping paper and the red card. So let's pop that there. And then I made 2 decorations for the side. So I've got my crisp packet, I've got a little bit more of the copper wrapping paper and another bit of card over the top there. And I've stapled those together and I repeated it there. So let's pop them together on the table and pop my belt over the top there. Can you see that? Let's hold it up actually. So if I hold that like so, there we go, you get the idea. So there we are, we're building up and extending down from the belt there. So now I'm going to staple these onto the belt. So I'm popping them behind the belt, I'm laying the belt down on top, and then I'm going to staple through all of these. And again, this might be the tricky bit, making sure I get that nice and central. Push that down. I'm going to staple in a couple of places just to make sure it's well and truly in there. Just double check. Yep, that's in there. And then I'm going to pop this one to the side. Again, stapling from behind. So you need to lay that down, position it. I'm going to sort of move it out to the side a bit. I could have it straight down. I think I'm just going to give it a little bit more interest, putting it out to the side a little bit. So you need to pick all of these up, pop the stapler underneath, and then we're going to push down. And then let's get the other side in. Let's take a look at the belt. I'm really pleased with that. That's come out really, really well. What we could do as well, we could put a few decorations in along the top. And I did have a little rummage around in my rubbish bag, and I found some sweetie wrappers. So all I've done with this, I'm just going to pinch it in the middle and just switch it upwards a little bit. Okay, and then fan it out again. And I'm going to pop that to one side there. I'm just going to have a look at it first before I staple. I've got another one here, which is gold. Again, it's just a sweet wrapper. And I've got another red one that I'm going to pop to the side there. I quite like that. And I'm going to take the stapler and staple those 3 in. Okay, let's take a look at the finished belt. There we go, with the decorations in at the top. I'm really pleased with that. Let's just pop it on the mannequin and have a little look. So here is the finished belt, which I'm really, really pleased with. Now it's time to take a look at how to create a simple skirt. So here's the design I created earlier that represents my garden. I'm now going to show you how to create a skirt just using some plastic bags that I got from my local supermarket, which I've cut into strips, okay? And I'm going to wrap them around some elastic. You could use elastic, or you could use some t-shirt material. This would most probably be stretchy enough, or it could be a waistband of an old pair of trousers. Okay, so let's take a look at this technique. I've just popped the skirt on the mannequin so you can take a little look at it. Doesn't that look great? It's got lots and lots of movement on there. And this is a very easy technique to do. Now I've got the elastic which goes all the way around the waist there, and I've just cut up my plastic bags into strips. You can have lots of different colours. I'm just sticking to the green for this, so it represents my garden. And I'm going to take a long strip like so, and I'm going to fold it in half so it creates like a little loop at the top there. Now that loop needs to go underneath the elastic there. I don't know if you can see that very well. There we go. And then I'm going to grab the tail and pull it through, and then just give it a little tug. Now I don't want to pull that too tight because we want to be able to move it around the waistband so we know where we want it positioned. That one more time. So fold it in half like so, create a hole at the top, pop it underneath the waistband and pull that through. There we go. And then you can just open these up a bit. Now on these plastic bags, what I did was I cut a little point into them before I popped them onto the elastic band, just to create a little bit more texture. So let's turn that round and have a little look. Wow, that looks fantastic. So here's the waistband that I've created for this skirt. I've just used plain card for the belt, and then I've decorated it with some different sized flowers. This was card I've covered with the gold wrapping paper. This was just some purple card that I found on a box, and I also found a box with orange on it as well. So I cut out some flowers, stapled them together, and then stapled them onto the belt. The leaves, I've just used a crisp packet. So I found a green crisp packet, I just cut out some leaf shapes, so it's got a nice bit of movement on there. So let's pop this on the skirt and see what it looks like. Well, I think that looks pretty fantastic, don't you? I'm really pleased with that. Instead of using plastic bags, you could also use fabric. You just need to experiment and come up with your own ideas. I've just got one more technique to quickly show you before we finish today's session. So this skirt was created using old clothes that I was going to take to the charity shop. So I've just cut out lots of squares, all the same size. So first of all, you need to make yourself a template. This was 30 centimetres by 30 centimetres, but you might like to make it smaller. And then you go through your clothes and you cut out lots of squares. Now it doesn't matter if they're not completely even, it won't show once it's on the skirt. Now this technique is really, really simple. All I'm going to do is take one corner, fold it over towards the middle, not right into the middle, and then just going to staple it. I'll just staple it in two places, and then I'll show you whereabouts best place to staple. So I've just stapled that corner down, and I've most probably done that about 2 inches down, 6 centimetres down, and put 2 staples in. So I've made like a channel going through there, like so. Then all we're going to do is simply use a piece of elastic, or I'm using an old t-shirt that I've cut up. Okay, it's nice and stretchy, and I'm just going to literally slide that onto the waistband like so. So let's just do one more. So let me take one of my squares, fold the corner over. Let me show you how far I've folded that over. Staple that in 2 places, making sure that you leave a gap there of about 2 inches, 6 centimetres coming down where the staples are, so you've got that channel. And then I'm just going to pop my fingers through there and slide it on to my waistband. Okay, so now I've got 2 pieces on there, and you just keep working your way around until you get to the very end and it fits around your waist. Okay, so that's a really, really simple technique. Also, you could add, this was just a little bit of crisp packets in here that I've just folded over and stapled around the top there, just to give a little bit of bling in between each one. Okay, so that's a very, very, very simple skirt to make. I hope you've enjoyed today's session, and it's given you lots of ideas and techniques on how to create simple belts and skirts. Don't forget, you can go onto our Virtual Carnival Club webpage and print off documents and patterns. And you can also upload pictures to our Facebook page. We'd love to see what you've been creating. Now watch out next week, you've got Hannah who's going to be showing you how to make jump percussion instruments. Bye bye for now. Bye.